Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So, some exciting news in the world of Intellivision just happened today, and I really couldn't wait to start this, to just talk about it, because Tommy Tallarico, the president of Intellivision, which I've spoke with, I did my live chat with, way before, when he announced the system was coming out, I guess in the summertime. At that time, he did say that a lot more details would be released in October. And so we've kind of been waiting this whole time for these details to come out. Like most of us who have been, or Intellivision fans, are just kind of curious about the whole retro scene, have been waiting for this information. And I was, I was impressed by what we got. I was kind of worried that we weren't going to get much. That we were just going to get like kind of the same, pretty much what he already told us during the live chats and what he's already said on other YouTube pages and stuff, which wasn't much. But this time we actually did get some tangible stuff. We actually got images of how the system is going to look. I kind of threw a picture there. I mean, I just got a screenshot of it. This was all happening live, like literally it just ended about 20 minutes ago since I started this recording, and it went from I think it went for about an hour. Unfortunately, Tommy is a very animated guy. He likes to talk a lot, so he didn't get as far into it as he wanted to, and he didn't get to the questions and answers, which I was kind of hoping to see, because I really wanted to see what people's input would be. Now, there was some downsides. I'm definitely going to say there were some downsides to it. I was watching online. I was watching on Facebook. That was how they advertised it. And they wanted to show a 4-minute video that I guess something they worked out. And they didn't show it to the people online. They kind of turned the camera towards the audience. And everybody in the chat box was going crazy. They were like, what? Really? We logged in for this and now we're not getting to see anything, and most of us were kind of like worried that that this was it. We were missing all the information. We were going to miss everything. What was the point of going online? But that didn't actually happen. I mean, it did happen, but it didn't happen. Whatever was on that video, we're going to see it on Monday, he said. So it's a Saturday right now when I'm recording this, so it's going to happen on the Monday. But it really didn't matter, because he really got into the nitty-gritty of the machine and all of the stuff that they've already worked out. They started talking about it. So the first thing is, it's called the Intellivision Amico, A-M-I-C-O, I believe. You can kind of see it in my picture there. And he's got some sketches of what the machine's going to look like. Off the bat, I look at it and I'm kind of seeing that they're trying to stick with that, I guess, the Intellivision 2 look. Something more similar to the Intellivision 2 than the Intellivision 1, which was a big box with the wood grain, and it's a big machine. Not as big as, say, like the ColecoVision of the day, but still the Intellivision was a pretty big machine. So when they made the Intellivision 2, they kind of shrunk it and made it more of a square. And so that looks like what they're doing. Also, the controllers, he showed some concepts with the controllers. And there was a few things that, were interesting. It has the disc, if you're familiar with the original controller. And I remember him saying that during the live chat I did with him, that the disc would be there. So they're definitely going to put that disc back. And there was a few things about it, like it was wireless. I expected that. I didn't expect this thing to have wires. I mean, the original had that phone cord. In fact, a lot of people joke all the time that the thing looked like a phone. These things are wireless, but they're also I forgot the word, I didn't jot it down. He said there's some kind of technology where they can actually charge while they're on the base, so wireless charging of some sort. So that's kind of interesting. And he also mentioned like magnetic, so that magnetic will stick in there, so you're not clicking it in or anything like that. I mean, that's stuff I guess we would come to expect from something of a modern system. The other thing that you mentioned about controllers, and this kind of blew my mind, is he was talking about how if you have multiple people over, and you know, this would have been a problem with the original Intellivision. But the original Intellivision had two built-in controllers. You could not add more controllers to it. I know later systems, like other systems, not the Intellivision, but other video gaming systems had multiple ports, and they had different ways of connecting more joysticks. But this is like a problem for all. I mean, the Wii changed things with the wireless remotes and some of the new systems. But what he's come up with is a concept where everybody can download an app onto their phone and essentially use their phone as a controller. So you have a party, you have people over. If you only have two native controllers to the machine, anybody that has a cell phone, like an iPhone or whatever, can essentially download an app for free. And that was his big thing, free. We're not charging kind of stealio, so it's free, and you can essentially play with your cell phone as a controller. Now, I thought that was pretty cool. That's very innovative. Unfortunately, I don't know, like, in my opinion, it's when you start tapping into things like this, the system almost becomes dated to that time frame. So, I mean, it's something that would have to be a continual work in progress. Like, cell phones are going to change through time, right? So, I don't know. Like, it's a cool add-on. It's a cool idea. And I'm sure the idea is that this system is going to change and grow with the times. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. What else did he talk about there? Lights. He talked about lights. There's a lot of lights on this thing. The thing is going to light up. At first I thought, you know, just as a design kind of concept, but what he was talking about is you're playing a game, for instance, different things are happening in the games, the lights will change based on what's going on in the game. So if you're playing, say, a police chase game, it could be flashing blue and red, like the police sirens or something like that. So that's interesting. I don't know if it's necessary. It seems kind of like the like I think about some of the more modern systems that had the vibration in the controllers and stuff like that. It's trying to bring a little bit of the 4D essence. Seems kind of gimmicky. I don't know. And also the controllers themselves will have LED lights on it. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I don't think that's a big selling point to me. Now, speaking of 4D, one of the bigger takeaways I thought was that I mean his whole thing about this platform, and what he kept bringing up is his parents, you know, grandparents, people who would pick up this system and know how to play it. That seems to be his thing. And he talked a lot about the Wii and how, you know, the Wii introduced a lot of older generation back to the video gaming world, or first time into the video gaming world. But they kind of stopped at Wii Bowling. And essentially, the Wii Sports is what a lot of the older people would have bought Wii for, and that would have been it. And he talks about, you know, if you were to put an Xbox controller into an older person's hand, they wouldn't understand the game. They wouldn't. And I totally see that, because I myself am in that kind of boat. I'm more of the retro gamer. If you watch my channel a lot, you know I play a lot of the old stuff. So you go putting Resident Evil in my hands, I'm not going to know what I'm doing. So I kind of see where he's going there. He wants to build a platform that's going to be simple. He wants to build a platform that's going to be easy to learn the games. I don't know how well that's going to go over. It's an interesting idea. And he also wants to make all the games E-rated. Like, literally everything is like children. Well, not just children, but kids, or kid-friendly. It's not going to have the blood, the guts, the gore, the swearing. You're not going to be putting a gun in someone's face. That I kind of have respect for that. I think that, you know, video games don't necessarily need to be violent to be fun. We played a lot of games in the day that violence was not really a big part of it. I mean, sure, we had games like Commando and stuff like that, and you're shooting a gun, you're shooting people, but you don't see blood splatter everywhere. That kind of came much later on in the video game, you know. I don't know, maybe it would have started around the PC days and then into like Nintendo, some of the more advanced. Of course, once PlayStation and all the big 3D games came out, yeah, I mean, it would have taken over to be more of the violent stuff. And so I see where he's going with that. And the thing that he talked about the games as well was no ports. Now that was interesting because when you think about video games in the past, even today, most of them are dealing with ports. Like this game is on the Xbox, this game is on the Wii, this game is like the same game. I mean, is on the PlayStation 4. There's no proprietor, like, well, maybe there is with some of them, but few and far between. And even back in the day, it was the same thing. If you wanted to play Donkey Kong, for instance, you could play it on the Intellivision, you could play it on the Atari, you could play it on the ColecoVision, you could play it on your... So I think what he's trying to do is create more native games, more games that will just, this is for this system only, and this is where it's going to live. And but at the same time, when he was talking about it, he was talking about re-imaging classics. So instead of doing straight-on ports, he wants to re-image them and kind of give them a new look and feel, still keeping the 2D aspect of it, not complicating the game. That is interesting. I'm really interested to see where he's going with that, especially when he's talking about the Intellivision, the classic Intellivision lineup. And the other thing that was interesting too was he said that they also struck a license with Atari to re-image Atari games, and of course that is going to create a lot of flack, because Atari is supposed to be making a new system, or they are making a new system. They've been crowdfunding it now for a while, so which started off as the Atari box, is now the Atari VCS. But I think they're going for the modern gamer though. They're not targeting the retro gamer. So that's kind of interesting. The other thing was the price points, $2.99 to $7.99 for games. So you're not going to be paying like $70 to download a game. Well, that's great. Who knows how the games are going to be though? It makes you question it. I mean, I know we have apps. We have on our phones. Again, the phones, we can download a gajillion apps, and there's these phone games. I've never been a big fan of phone games myself. I know I've talked to a lot of other people who say the same thing. Phone games, meh. I mean, they design them to be simple because they have to be simple, because you're using a touch screen, and oftentimes you're playing them on a train or bus or somewhere. So they're they're really popular now, but so I don't think they're going to be like that. But they're going to be simple enough that you can understand it, just like the 2D games that we're used to, like in the classic Nintendo NES. When they came out, a lot of those games, you could rent those from the store, put it in your Nintendo, and pretty much play it. You didn't need to read through the complicated books. They didn't have to have a million tutorials on the screen. They were understandable. So I could see where he's going with that. And another thing about the games, and this was interesting too, was the leaderboard system. So he's going to create a kind of like a scoreboard, and it's going to be an international scoreboard, and it's going to be able to tell you stats from your games. It's going to tell you stats from, like, who's better at it. Like, kind of like I'm number 58 out of 10,000 people. If you're really good at the game, or you could be number 5,000. But you can also zero it down to during a week span, during a month span. So say during the month of August, I was the 20th out of X amount of people. So it's kind of interesting, is having some kind of way of gauging your gameplay and seeing how you've done on previous things, and being able to show people, hey, look, I was number 1, or I was number 50, or something like that. So that's kind of interesting too. That's an interesting takeaway that they're doing. Another thing too is that they're going to bring back a lot of the classic, well, not really game. Well, I guess companies like a Magic, which a lot of people were wondering about. And if you don't know what that is, Magic was a company that made a lot of really great games for the Atari and the Intellivision. So they struck a licensing deal for that. So we're going to see a Magic come back. I'm really excited about that. One game I want to really see is Dracula. That'll be cool. And they also, in his presentation, he had a lot of the producers and developers of other games, classic games. So he had like Moon Patrol, the guy who made Moon Patrol. He had the guy who worked on Castlevania and a lot of the classics like that. So we are getting a pretty dedicated team of people who worked on a lot of classic games. So that'll be very interesting to see. Plus, there's going to be new games, he said. So he's going to, well, he mentioned 20. So he said there's going to be 20 new games. So I'm assuming what he's trying to say is at launch there will be about at least 20 games. There was a few odd details he threw out there, like color schemes and stuff like that. So on the store, when you go to download these games, he's going to keep the Intellivision color scheme, which is like, if you've seen the Intellivision boxes, they're green, they're red, they're blue, and they're like that for a reason. The blue are space, the purple is board game. So he wants to keep that color scheme going. That's okay. What else did he say? There was a lot to take away from this one. I was actually quite surprised on the amount of information. The one thing that everybody also wanted to know was his pricing for the system, and I think that he kind of left that closer to the end of his talk, and it turns out it's going to be between $149 to $179. Not bad. I mean, that's American pricing too, so I'm in Canada, so I guess for us it'll be probably more in the closer to the $200 range. But I mean, that price is not bad, considering that I remember my parents, my mom telling me that when they bought the Intellivision back in 1980, I don't know what, 80, 82, 83, the Intellivision cost them like $300-400, and back then $300-400 was a lot of money. I mean, that's a crazy amount of money going back in the 80s. That would be the equivalent of today when you're spending $300-400 for an Xbox. So keeping the price point down at $150 is a good thing. I mean, hopefully it'll be more to the $140 and not closer to the $180. But things can change. Who knows what'll happen? But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, these are just little takeaways. I know people were having questions like the cartridge. Will there be a cartridge port? And he danced around that. I know when he had other conversations with people. I think even during the live chat with me, he even said that nothing is ruled out, and if people want to develop things for this system and it passes their quality control and stuff like that, then it might happen. So who knows? Maybe there's still room for an add-on. From the design, it doesn't look like it's going to have any cartridge ports. But there's going to be the classic games. There's going to be the classic Intellivision games. So whether I guess they're going to be built in, whether you have to download them, that'll be interesting to find out, to see how this goes. And but yeah, I'm looking forward to Monday to see what this video is. I want to see more images. I want to see like the controllers. So far everything has just been sketches, so I don't think they actually have a piece of live hardware to show off. I don't know. Like I said, during the Facebook Live part of it, the camera unfortunately was turned towards the audience, so we at home didn't get to see it. They told everybody to turn off their cameras, so nobody was able to take a video of it. So it was just really for the people at the PRGE, I think it's Portland Retro Gaming Expo, that they did this at. So it was really just for them to be able to see that. And whatever. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what that means. And hopefully there's more images. Like, they did show renderings of the controller, but it looked, I don't know. It was just a white rectangle with a circle on the bottom where you would actually move your thumb. And that's the other thing that he talked about too, was the idea that the controller, because it's wireless, that you can actually turn it in different directions and use it differently. So everybody has the ability to, if they're left-handed, or if they would prefer to play it like, play it more like this, up like this way, or turn it like this way, kind of like what we do with the Wii, where you can actually turn the Wii around, the Wii mode around. And I don't know. I guess all these are just conceptual right now, and they're working on it. But we did get a lot of details, so hopefully more will come, and we'll actually see what's going on here. Anyways, I just wanted to throw this out there because it was really exciting, and I'm sure some people just want to get the gist of what's going on. You can go back. You can go on their Facebook group and on the Intellivision Entertainment Facebook page, and you can watch the whole thing there. It's about an hour and something, and you can actually see the images. I mean, most of it's audience shots, so it's not exactly the most exciting at times, but it is Tommy speaking. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. These were just my thoughts. I just wanted to get it out there because it was exciting, and well, it's still fresh in my mind. I wanted to talk about it. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, and I'll be ending the chat.